Tonight on the County Line, we take a look at what some professors' plans are for the upcoming spring break.
Professors aren't the only ones with spring break plans. Titan Traverse's Lauren Nystrom tells us about this year's spring break trip to Tennessee and Arizona.
And this week on the County Close-Up, Christina Rosetto sits down with Jackie Mead to discuss how to find a job in a receding economy. We're live.
We're local.
The County Line starts now.
Good evening and welcome to this evening's edition of the County Line. I'm Shana Marty.
And I'm Scott Lawrence. As many students make their way home this weekend for spring break, many local businesses will be taking over the Westminster Fieldhouse for the New Wilmington Chamber of Commerce Business Expo this Saturday. But some local businesses won't be attending this year. The County Line's Matt Ogden caught up with one local business to discuss why they chose to pass up on the expo.
As the geese begin to migrate north, showing signs of spring, New Wilmington is expecting a gaggle of businesses to flock to the 7th Annual Business Expo held at the Westminster College Fieldhouse this Saturday. With signs posted and taped up around the New Wilmington area, some local businesses aren't feeling the same excitement. Local food shop Jimmy's Corner, owned by YSU graduate and Newcastle resident Artie Christo, talks about the struggle for his business, like others in the area, staying open during the expo and putting their best foot forward while participating in it.
Well, there's two main reasons. One of them is being that a decent amount of our employees are from the college, so they're doing it whenever the spring break begins, and usually by Friday night they're all out of here, so we're running short on help. The second reason is for me to be able to go down there and expose my business, I will need a certain amount of equipment that I do not possess right now. I don't want anybody trying my product down there and be like, it was and then not be able to come into my business.
Though his business cannot participate in this year's expo, he talks about how he is looking forward to an opportunity in next year's.
I wish I'd be able to participate. It's probably going to be a good experience, and I'm going to try my best to do it the upcoming years if it's still going to be going on, but for this year, we won't be able to do it.
Admission is free, and there are door prize giveaways. I'm Matt Ogden reporting for the County Line.
The Business Expo will be held this Saturday in Westminster's Memorial Fieldhouse. Over 85 businesses are registered. Visitors can expect door prizes, a pancake breakfast, and plenty of information on local businesses.
Speaking of local businesses, a restaurant is thriving after opening its doors to the public. The Tavern on the Square in New Wilmington marked its one-month anniversary this week. Despite a struggling economy, owner Joe Hogelman says the restaurant has stayed busy almost every night in its first month. The tavern's success has sparked a variety of ideas for its future. Hogelman says their potential plans currently include opening a bakery next door.
A much-needed spring break is finally arriving this Friday. Students will be leaving for vacations, special trips, or just heading home to relax. But little is known about what some faculty members have planned for their break. The County Line's Lee Biermeyer and Mike Hazlett decided to find out.
Around this time of the year, there's one thing on everyone's minds: spring break. The weather and workload has dampened students' moods, and the only thing that keeps them going is the glimmering ray of hope that is break. The students will be off enjoying themselves somewhere sunny or at home, but what are some of the faculty up to this break?
I know that I'm going to be catching up on some work, doing some writing, finishing up an article, and I'll probably visit New York State.
You know, we might get away for a day or two. Might go visit my daughters. I have one who lives in Washington, one who lives in Cleveland, so might see them, see my grand dogs, spend some quality time with them.
Some will be enjoying their time off. For others, it will still be all business.
On Thursday, I am leaving for Las Vegas with Dr. Sproul and Mrs. Natal. We are going to present at the Far West Popular Culture Conference.
So we'll be out there for about 3 days, from Thursday through Monday.
Oh, wow, that sounds great.
Right, and I may do a little bit more than give a paper as well. So.
We're going to go about 100 miles up the Natchez Chase, which is an old Indian trail in Mississippi. Take the car and go up 100 miles, and then we're going to stay at a bed and breakfast there, spend one day, bike south, probably about 50 miles, spend the next day at the same bed and breakfast.
No matter what their plans include, the break is warmly welcomed as a time of rest and relaxation. For the County Line, I'm Lee Biermeyer.
Bowling, pizza, music, and much more. That's what you can expect at the upcoming Big Brothers Big Sisters Bowl for Kids' Sake. The event benefits the organization's youth mentorship program, which affects many youth within the campus community. You can help make a difference by registering for the event. Teams consist of 4 to 6 players, costing $40 a person. The Back to the 50s themed event takes place at Colonial Lanes in Newcastle on Saturday, April 4th. Activities will take place from noon to 5. After the break, Christina Rossetto talks about job security with Jackie Mead on this week's County Close-Up.
This week's On the Road may seem a little bit cheesy. David Nicholson gives us an inside look at what the Cheese House is cooking up.
And later, Melissa Maines has all your Titan Sports info on this week's Titan Town Sports.
Stay tuned, more County Line is on the way.
We're playing in the woods. One of some matches, that's no good. So if the gorgeous force is what you decide, don't play with matches, don't play with fire. Yeah.
Only you can prevent forest fires.
Fire.
A Lawrence County official says the county will not pay for the housing costs of an 11-year-old boy accused of killing his father's pregnant fiancée. Lawrence County Controller David Gettings says he received a bill of over $4,000 from Beaver County this week. Jordan Brown was housed at the Beaver County Juvenile Center for 5 days before being moved to a facility in Erie. Gettings says the bill also includes nearly $3,000 in sheriff's fees.
Ex-Newcastle Parking Authority Director Gary Stone Jr. will stand trial on charges that he stole more than $100,000 in quarters from city parking meters. Newcastle police took over the meter collections for the first time last year when the city cut Stone's position due to financial distress. Police collected more than $54,000 last year from the meters, realizing that the numbers weren't adding up. Stone's previous 2 years' worth of submissions totaled only under $400. Stone remains free on bond.
With spring break fast approaching, some students are gearing up for a wild adventure.
The County Line's Kylie Bennett caught up with Laura Nystrom to see what Titan Traverse has in store for the week.
Well, Titan Traverse is leading 2 spring break trips. One is going to be going to the Smoky Mountains in Tennessee, and that will be some backpacking, and they'll do some rock climbing there. And then the other trip is going to be going to Arizona, to the Phoenix and the Page, Arizona areas on Lake Powell, and we'll be kayaking on Lake Powell and exploring some of the slot canyons and off the lake, as well as doing some more technical canyons all around the Phoenix area. For the Arizona trip, we are going to be taking a flight out of Pittsburgh and flying to Phoenix, and then we'll drive a van about 5 hours north, and then we'll get on a boat, and we'll boat on Lake Powell. We'll pontoon boat about 14 miles up the lake, where we'll be camping, and then we'll be kayaking on the lake. So a lot of different forms of transportation for that one. The Tennessee trip is going to be driving to Tennessee, driving up down to the Smoky Mountains, and they'll be on foot for some of their trip, hiking in the mountains there, and then but mostly transportation by car. Once you kind of leave college, the opportunities to do some of these adventurous types of options are harder to find or harder to actually have time to do. You have to take vacation, and it might not be paid, or so to find time in your work schedule to do adventures like canyoneering or rock climbing or backpacking get a little bit more difficult. And although the cost is a cost to take part in these trips, you probably won't find a cheaper trip outside of working with a college. So.
State police are warning citizens about another local bank scam. An agency identifying as Farmers National Bank has been calling customers looking to get credit card and account numbers. The callers are using an automated phone system to inform recipients that there's trouble with their bank accounts. Officials say customers should be cautious about providing any personal information.
The slumping economy and a decrease in the construction industry is taking its toll on one Lawrence County cement plant. S-Rock Cement Corporation notified state officials it will close production at its Bessemer plant in May, laying off over 100 workers. The Lawrence County operation provides cement to customers in both Pennsylvania and Ohio.
With the state unemployment rate rising to 7%, thousands of Pennsylvania residents are searching for a new job.
The County Line's Christina Rosetto sat down with Westminster's Career Center Director Jackie Mead to discuss successful strategies for finding a new job in a struggling economy.
Good evening and welcome to this week's edition of the County Close-Up. I'm Christina Rosetto, here talking with Jackie Mead of Westminster College's Career Center. Jackie, thank you for being with us this evening.
Thank you for inviting me.
We're talking this week about those who have been recently unemployed and some college seniors here at Westminster who are going to be applying for jobs and wanting to get on their feet throughout this economic crisis. Jackie, to start, what can college seniors specifically expect to see when they go to apply for jobs this coming spring?
Okay, well, there's no getting around it that it is going to be a tight market because, of course, we're in a very unusual economic situation. But we do have so much going for us, and as long as we remember those things, that our seniors are so well prepared, probably because, for example, in this discipline, the things that you get to do as hands-on is going to be experience for people, and so that's going to be something that they'll have going for them. There are certain jobs that are still available. The accounting is looking for people. Of course, the health field is still very, very big, and it's going to be going on. So those will be opportunities, and I think as long as our seniors remember that if they are flexible and willing to move to where some of the opportunities are, plus also keeping in mind that they are liberal arts students, which means that they can wear a ton of different hats. You know, they can use those writing skills, analytical skills, the things that you need in almost any job that you're going to do. And so those will always be in demand. And as long as they're patient and flexible and keep in mind they've got a lot to offer.
So a lot of the students here, they have the liberal arts on their side, like you said.
Yes.
Are there any particular strategies that you, as a professional in career services, can give them that may help upcoming graduates whenever they go to apply for these jobs?
Sure. One thing is to make sure that their resume is absolutely as professional as it can be. And we always, of course, invite them to come up and visit the Career Center to do that. But they want to remember that there are certain things that go on a resume. There's absolutely no right or wrong way to write a resume, but there are certain things that should be put on, and the placement is very important. So they'll want to take advantage of that knowledge so that they do a good job of presenting that, because that's kind of like their first impression before their first impression. So that's one thing they'll want to do. They'll want to be sure that their interviewing skills are up to par, so that they, when they do get that offer for an interview, that they can do a good job and present themselves well, so that they can showcase all these skills that they're going out there with, and to make sure that they don't just depend on ads in the newspaper, but realize that networking is such an important thing. Most jobs are found by knowing people who know of an opening that's coming up, or perhaps that somebody's going to be leaving, and they'll know that there's going to be something available. So keeping in touch, making sure everybody knows that you're looking, those are important things to remember.
Right. We were talking before that the market isn't what it was a year ago or 2 years ago, so it's hard to ignore the reports that unemployment has hit above 8% now. Should seniors be wary about applying for jobs? Is there need for, panic's a severe word to use, but is there need for that kind of wariness, or are there still grounds for some optimism for the seniors now?
absolutely grounds for optimism. But I think the word is not wary, it should be aware. I think that they should be aware of the situation, and so that they don't think they're just being rejected on their own, the basis of their own skills, or that something's wrong with them. If they're aware that that's a tight situation and it's going to take some time, and that they're going to need to make some adjustments in the way they look for jobs, especially, as I said before, being willing to relocate, that kind of thing, that's what they need to keep in mind. But also lots of optimism. I really think that there's, you can't be here forever. So as long as they're willing to use those skills in other ways to build upon what they'll go for in the future, I think will be what they should keep in mind.
Right. We talked about networking before and not just relying on the ads in the newspaper. Are there still an abundance of job fairs? There's Westpacs, there's other ones. Are there still an abundance of those as seniors go out and apply despite the times right now?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, the big one that we're involved in is Westpacs, and it's on April 1st. So we encourage students to go to that. Make sure that in fact, I sent a reminder out to remind everybody to bring their good suits and their interviewing shoes back from break with them, so that they wouldn't be caught short, because it's April 1st, and I believe it's 10 to 3 if I'm not mistaken. And so that's a big job fair. I believe at this point we have something like 120 employers who are going to be there, so that certainly makes it worthwhile for students to take the time to go to attend that. And so that's something they'll want to be sure to do. And there are other job fairs around, of course, that they'll want to be aware of, but this is kind of a big one.
Jackie, thank you for being with us again.
Thank you very
really
much.
Appreciate it. More County Line is on the way.
Come on, boy. Come on. What do you got there, Yogi? Huh? What have you found? What do you got, little fella? Drop it. Looks like someone's butt. Man, they probably lost it playing with their kids. Hey, leave it. Come on. Come on.
For this week's On the Road, County Line reporter Dave Nicholson takes us to New Wilmington's Cheese House.
With a variety of local products, baked goods, and cheese, the family-owned business has been successfully running for decades.
Dave takes us inside the Cheese House and show us what they have to offer.
Hi, I'm Dave Nicholson, on the road in New Wilmington at the Cheese House. As I walked aimlessly around the most cheese I've ever seen, I began to feel the power of cheese. One unique cheese that caught my eye was the 5-County cheese. It is a layered cheese that originated in England. Unable to decide, I began to explore the rest of the store. Once I encountered good and evil pickles, I wasn't sure what to expect. Luckily, Mr. Wireman was glad to help.
Oh, I like this smoked cheese. I really like it. I get a lot of that. And pepper cheese. I like that. It's got peppers and stuff in it.
How often do you come here?
About every time we come through down here.
Wireman explains the variety is much greater than a normal store. With this knowledge, I decided to get some popcorn salt and root beers. From locally made apple butter to all locally made products, you are sure to find whatever you're looking for. Once the cheesemonger cut the cheese and sent me on my way, I knew I was in for a surprise. I'm Dave Nicholson, reporting in New Wilmington at the Cheese House for On the Road.
In Titantown sports, see how the Titan baseball team is gaining experience from a player twice their age.
And later, the County Line's Ryan Hitchcock finds out how students are preparing for this year's Chapel Drama Seussical.
More County Line is on the way.
Can I help you, sir?
Found these over by the stairs.
Okay, thank you.
What are they?
Love handles. Lots of people lose them taking the stairs instead of the escalator.
Remember, if there's ever an emergency, we meet here at the bottom of the driveway.
And I'll get the emergency disaster kit out of the kitchen.
Once we're all together, then we'll decide what to do.
But what about Fido?
What about Fido? The Lawrence County Humane Society reminds you to include your pets in your disaster planning. Make sure that your pets have identification tags that include your phone number. To find out more about how to protect your pets in a disaster, contact the Lawrence County Humane Society.
Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to this week's edition of Titantown Sports. I'm Melissa Maines. There is still one local high school basketball team in the playoffs. The Farrell Steelers will play at Slippery Rock University tomorrow night to take on Greensburg-Salem. The Westminster men's and women's swim team may be done with this year's season, but 4 members of the women's team will be competing in the NCAA National Championship meet at the University of Minnesota Aquatic Center in Minneapolis, beginning Wednesday. And Westminster is sending a women's relay team for the first time in team history. Those members are senior Megan Meyer, freshman Caitlin Layberger, and juniors Natalie Rambish and Emily Dressler. These athletes will also compete in individual events. And with spring break beginning next week, many teams will be traveling a little further than usual for games, starting with the softball team who will open their season at the Rebel Games in Kissimmee, Florida, where they will play 10 games. And with only 1 win under their belt, the Titan baseball team will play 4 doubleheaders in Fort Pierre, Florida, beginning Saturday. The men's and women's track and field team just finished their indoor season. They will open the outdoor season at Coastal Carolina for 2 meets. And finally, the men's tennis team is coming off of their first win of the season, and they are hoping to continue that streak as they travel to Hilton Head Island this weekend, along with the women's tennis team to play 3 teams. And congratulations to this week's SAC Athlete of the Week, senior Mike Williams. This center fielder had 3 hits and went 3 for 3 with an RBI Sunday against Washington and Lee. And this next baseball player may not look like the average senior baseball player. He's 45 and in his 2nd year on the team, but Newcastle native Steve Reeder is a major asset to the team.
An afternoon of batting practice is a chance for the Titans to prepare for the next battle on the ball field. But batting practice is nothing compared to the real battle drills. This retired Army Master Sergeant survived in the Army Rangers. He spent 20 years jumping out of planes, taking cover from enemy fire. So when a foul ball comes his way during an interview like this, it's nothing to him. Heads up! So we asked Steve Reeder which is harder, the Army Rangers or Titan baseball.
To come back at this age and do it it's measurable. It's close. Not so much the physical aspect. My kids, my studies, trying to still be a good father, all those other things. It's hard to manage my time.
You got someone out there now. Reeder says it's tough keeping up with these young bucks, but they have warmed up to him, and he says they tease him just like they do other players, and he's willing to give it right back.
Better you than me.
And I wondered, how well he could keep up, I'd be honest, but he's done a great job back there.
And he taught me a lot of leadership stuff, how to talk to people and, calm them down and everything when somebody makes a bad play or whatnot.
Reeder says he wants to be treated just like the other players, and the coaches are willing to go along with it.
Steve ended up saying he had to miss a game, and I thought, well, he knew the consequences when he misses, so just be prepared on Monday to suffer the consequences. And And he said, I'm prepared and I'll look forward to it.
And when he's done with college, he wants to teach high school history and keep the baseball dream alive, but this time, coaching on the high school level. In New Wilmington, Lawrence County, I'm Brad Weaver for the County Line.
And now on to the extra inning portion of the show. The Penguins are coming off of a win against the Florida Panthers and are back in action tonight as they travel to Columbus to take on the Blue Jackets. And with spring training in full swing, the Pirates had a big win this afternoon and will play the Philadelphia Phillies on Friday. The Cleveland Indians may have lost their last game, but they will have another chance to redeem themselves as they play host to Oakland Friday. Stay tuned, there's more County Line on the way.
This way! Who is that guy? I don't know! Hurry up, he's right behind us! I know! Come on, get up!
Four score and 7 years ago.
Think history is a little scary? Then log on to loc.gov and see how much fun it can be. The Library of Congress at loc.gov.
Traverse. Check us out on the web.
Westminster College's Chapel Drama Seussical is getting closer to the opening show. The Chapel Drama is held every spring in Westminster's own Wallace Memorial Chapel. The County Line's Ryan Hitchcock tells us how the students begin to prepare for the show.
Once every year, a special event is held at Westminster's Wallace Memorial Chapel. No, it's not Christmas Vespers, but instead the Chapel Drama. As co-director Catherine Bishop will tell you, there's one thing that separates the Chapel Drama from the other Westminster productions.
The great thing about Chapel Drama is that it's completely student-run. Shauna and I co-direct it, and we have a student choreographer and 2 students who are the musical directors, and then also we have students who are in charge of costumes and props and the set.
Let's get playing.
This year's Chapel Drama is Seussical, a musical based on the stories by the famous children's author, Dr. Seuss.
We went back and forth between a lot of different shows over the summer and kicked around a lot of different ideas, and finally came to the idea of Seussical last semester.
With the show only 2 months away, the cast and crew has a lot of work ahead of them, but that doesn't mean they still can't have a good time.
We're a group of friends that we bond together. We have a lot of fun when we're doing stuff, and it's not as serious in some ways as the main stage theater productions that they do over in Beagley, but we still do sometimes even better quality work. We have just as good a time doing it, and we get a lot of enjoyment out of doing what we do.
So if you love Dr. Seuss or just want to have a great time, be sure to check out Westminster's Chapel Drama Seussical on the first weekend of April. I'm Ryan Hitchcock, reporting for the County Line.
Pennsylvania's foreclosure trends were worse than the nation's last month. According to Realty Track, foreclosure filings in PA jumped 74% from February 2008 to last month. The national increase was 30% over the same period.
The Student Government Association has approved a budget for Westminster's annual Volley Rock concert. SGA decided Wednesday to allocate over $25,000 for a band to perform. Students recently voted on their choice of band, but the winner has yet to be announced. The Volley Rock concert is scheduled for Friday, May 1st.
Well, that's it for this week's edition of the County Line.
We'll be back in 2 weeks. Make sure to tune in for all your local news and sports.
Good night.
Good night.
new instruments and replace other